Hare Krishna, question for today by Prasad Mulchandratwani. Why is onion and garlic not allowed to eat? Uh, Very important question. So many times people ask, I'm just going to rephrase the question. Many times people ask, where did Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita that we should not eat onion and garlic? Let's take a look at both the questions that way. So a simple answer and a straightforward answer why we don't take onion and garlic is because onion and garlic cannot be offered to Lord Krishna. So as Vaishnavas, we don't consume anything what cannot be offered to Lord Shri Krishna. So this is straightforward. This is my take for that reason. As Vaishnavas will not accept. Now the second part is where did Krishna say that he cannot accept onion and garlic? So Krishna has not listed the different categories or different items as such in Bhagavad Gita, but he has definitely spoken about the nature of foods to be avoided or to be consumed. For example, in Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter, verse number 9, in this particular chapter, Krishna speaks about the food found in goodness, passion, ignorance. The food in Sattva Guna, which should be consumed by us because that helps cultivate Sattva Guna and that makes us stable in our life. Whereas food found in Rajasic or Tamasic Guna is not good for one's well-being, physical well-being, professional well-being, or what to speak about spiritual well-being. So let's take a look what Krishna says about foods in Rajoguna. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. Onion and garlic fall in this category. Now, this is where Krishna has mentioned about it. Now, onion and garlic, why? Because they excite the baser instincts and they make it difficult for one to control the senses. So, the prohibition on onion and garlic is recommended by virtue of their characteristics. I understand somebody would be thinking, oh, this is after all vegetable, this is not meat. Why can't we eat vegetable? Because, but by characteristics, they are almost same like meat products. So let's little bit look into a with a more broader vision about what different sciences, field of sciences speak about on the subject matter. In terms of how consumption of onion and garlic uh, it's not good definitely for our spiritual well-being as we just briefly spoke about it based on what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna doesn't want to be doesn't we cannot offer to Krishna in that basis, but how it is also not good for our well-being. All right, let's take a look at it. So we're gonna give a little longer answer for that. Let's begin with first of all, onion and garlic is where people get confused again. They say our doctors recommend us to eat onion and garlic. Fine, let's take a look at it. So yes, onion and garlic do have medicinal properties, and several allopathy doctors would recommend that. Now, why? What is it medicinal property, and why it is recommended? Let's take a look at it quickly. So it has a compound called as allicin, and it prevents cholesterol from getting accumulated. In other words, it prevents an heart attack like that, or it can delay heart attack. Either way you want to call it. So it doesn't allow clot to happen in the veins. So same thing happened with both garlic and onion. They have the same characteristic. Onion has it in a lesser quantity, but garlic has it in more quantity. This kind of an effect like that. Second thing, both garlic and onion, what it does, it makes the blood diluted. Hence, the blood circulation in the body becomes fast. As the blood flows fast, it makes the body brisk, also tensed, and it increases and induces organs. Now, this is a characteristic of Rajoguna. When person is dominated by a mode of passion, that's the time his body becomes tense, organs are also induced to act fast or swiftly like that. So, at this point of time, according to Ayurveda, when the blood circulation happens quickly or swiftly, in that sense, the lusty desires increases, and hence one is tempted to commit offenses, whereas finds difficult to control one's mind and senses. So, in other words, by the consumption of onion and garlic, there are a lot of potential of committing aparadh, offenses, or sinful activities through body and mind, because now senses become agitated. This is something which all of us would have an experience. I don't know too many examples for that. Now, the doctors would recommend these days because they're not bothered about the effect of onion and garlic on our consciousness. What they're more interested is to prevent heart attack. They're not bothered about what you do by the consumption of onion garlic, but you can live a longer life. That is what they get paid for. However, the Vedic recommendation is whoever will eat onion and garlic, their body would be very strong like a demon, whereas their intelligence would also be contaminated like the intelligence of demons. You may say, "Oh, this is a very strong statement. Why they speak like this?" We have to, a little bit look back into the history of the origin of onion and garlic. What does Ayurvedic text or what does Vedic scripture speak about the origin of onion and garlic? And the story goes back. You can go and check with any Ayurvedic doctor for that. They all talk about the same story which comes in the Ayurvedic text. Is about Samudra Manthan Leela. You might be aware of it, where the nectar was both demons and devatas had come together to extract nectar from the ocean. And finally, when the Dhanvantri ji appeared with a pot of nectar, at that point of time, there was a big argument and fight between the devatas and demigods. Finally, Mohini Murti, Lord Vishnu came as Mohini Murti. She carried the pot, and it was decided by her. First, she would give it to the devatas and then to the demons. And in that, one of the demons was smart enough to understand this is a trap, cheating by Mohini Murti. So this demon went and sat in the line of Devata, where the serving of Amrit was going on. As soon as Mohini Murti offered this demon in the guise of a Devata the nectar drop, so immediately Mohini Murti understood what had happened, and Vishnu, as Mohini Murti or as Vishnu, with the Sudarshan Chakra, chopped off the head of this demon. The nectar drop has entered in the mouth and has reached up to the throat, but have not touched the body. So when the head was chopped off, so the nectar was still in the throat. At that point of time, but obviously when the head was chopped off, the blood fell on the ground. So the head, which was holding on to the nectar, that the nectar drops, or you can call it as a blood, fell on the ground, and where it fell, from there, onion and garlic appeared. So, onion and garlic act as a nectar for physical well being because it came from the nectar drops. But it came from the mouth of a demon. It also induces demonic propensity. So now you understand why we cannot offer. Another reason why we cannot offer to the Lord, because onion and garlic is actually a prasad of a demon. So we cannot offer it to the Lord. And as I said, the short answer is why we don't eat it, because we cannot offer it to Lord. Lord doesn't take it, so we cannot take it. So that is why the Vedic scripture says, if you eat onion garlic, you may have a strong body, but your consciousness would also be like that of a demoniac person. Now, this is about Vedic scriptures, what it says. Let's take a look around what other spiritual traditions around the world they say on the subject matter of onion and garlic, and then we'll come and give some medical the scientific evidences from certain medical practitioners what the research have found on onion and garlic. Let's consider spiritual circles first. So, a very ancient Chinese tradition, you can call it as a religion, by the name of Taoist. There, one of the profound writer and a sage by the name of Tsang Tasche, he has described or he has written about this onion and garlic, and he says the consumption of onions are harmful to the lungs, whereas consumption of garlic is harmful for the heart. And then he further writes that it has a kind of enzymes within it which causes repulsive breath, foul smell from the mouth. We all have an experience of it, those who have taken onion and garlic, and also a foul odor from perspiration, and also bad smell from the bowel movements. And it also leads to agitated mind, which we already discussed. And similarly, Ayurveda says, whoever will consume onion and garlic will have an offensive breath, a foul smell from the body, and anxiety, agitation, aggression, which is symptom of motor passion, like that. So this is from the Thais. Let's go to Japan, where there is another ancient tradition called by the name of Reiki. Now, Reiki is a kind of an alternative medicine, and is a way of healing through energy. So we call it Reiki practitioners. So if somebody has to visit any Reiki practitioner for any treatment, so they have certain prohibitions in terms of the diet, which any Ayurvedic doctor or any doctor would in general would have it. So in that, of course, no tobacco, no alcohol, which everyone practices that we should not consume, not good for health. And they also say there should be no consumption of onion and garlic. Very interesting. It should be removed from one's diet once for all. So this is quite apparent that all this onion and garlic is part of a Elaceous plants category of this. This category of plants have a negative effect on the body, and therefore all the spiritual traditions at the beginning of time kind of prohibited the consumption of onion and garlic by an individual. Let's take a look at homeopathic medicine. Even they come to the same conclusion, where they recognize that the consumption of red onion, it produces dry cough, watery eyes, sneezing, etc. In other words, cold related symptoms. Now let's go back and talk about a little bit of science. In 1980s, there was a research on human brain function by a famous scientist by the name of Dr. Robert or Roberto, something like that. Dr. Robert, I believe, was the name, and he has found out how garlic has a detrimental effect on the brain. He said garlic has certain enzymes, you want to call it, which actually are poisonous to the brain cells. And then in that research, he also found out that back in 1950, that's where he quotes, back in 1950s, it was discovered that garlic, consumption of garlic, reduces individuals' reaction time, which means he becomes at least 3 times slower in giving a response to a situation. So therefore, those who are in, those who are fighter pilots or those who are, let's say, fly planes, for them it is one of the prescription or regulation not to consume garlic, particularly garlic, within 3 days of their flight duty, which means within 72 hours. Prior to 72 hours, they can, but within 72 hours, they should not consume. This is what, according to science, also, and I already quoted about homeopathic medicine. So, because of lack of clinical research on the onion and garlic and its effect, we do have some medicinal benefits, but we have not had enough research on onion and garlic to really find out what's the impact of onion and garlic on one's well-being. But in essence, if you see, we kind of spoke about. First of all, if I just sum up this whole answer, the very first thing I said, we don't accept it, we don't consume it because Krishna doesn't. Now, isn't it so simple and straightforward what Bhagavad Gita says? We really don't have to go into the rest of the details of the subject matter. We can't offer it to Krishna. Krishna has spoken in Bhagavad Gita, mode of goodness, food is something what should be consumed, because if you want to be in the path of spiritual life, want to make a spiritual progress, our mind and senses has to be under control, has to be brought under control. And for that, we need to live a mode of goodness life. If we cannot, if we live a Rajasic or Tamasic life, consume Tamasic and Rajasic diets. Tamasic diet means non-vegetarian, meat products. Rajasic is onion, garlic. There is no way we can live a peaceful life. There is no way for us to really, even materially, enjoy our life, because we'll always remain in anxiety and agitated. So, with that, it's time for each one of us to decide for ourselves. Would we want to have a long life, but with an aggressive demonic nature, or would we prefer to lead a simple life, happy life, and with a devotion to Lord Shri Krishna? That could be a normal lifetime. So it is in our interest to make a choice. What we would like? We'd like to improve in our spiritual well-being, which will in return improve our physical well-being, emotional well-being, and intellectual well-being by stopping consumption of alcoholic, or we want to continue on the demonic path, build a huge body, well-built body, and also have an intelligence of like that of a demon, because that's where the origin of onion garlic, as we discussed in the beginning. So I do understand stopping onion garlic would be difficult for many. So I'll just give you one or two alternatives which will taste like onion garlic but would not have an effect like onion garlic. And one alternative is celery, particularly an alternative for onion. Those who cannot give up onion so easily, so you can just take onion out of your menu and get celery. I'm pretty sure it'll be available in India also. It tastes like that, but it does not have an effect like onion. I've heard for hing also gives you a flavor like that of onion and garlic, and similarly cabbage. If you cut into small pieces, it gives you a look and feel like that of an onion and garlic. So with that, if we are serious about making progress in spiritual life and even having a physical well-being, as we give you some evidences of research by the doctors on the consumption of onion and garlic, I guess it's in our favor to let go of these two food items. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.